Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel and today we are going to talk about skull bones. So let's start our topic with introduction. Human skull is one of the most complex and vital structures of skeletal system. It serves as a strong protective case for the brain, supports the sensory organs and provides a framework for the face. The skull is made up of several bones that are joined together by immovable joints that are called sutures. These bones are classified into two main groups that are cranial bones and facial bone. As we know, skull bones are divided into two groups, cranial bones and facial bone. So we will talk about cranial bones first and then we will talk about facial bones. Now let's talk about cranial bones. Cranial bones form the cranium which enclose and protect the brain. These bones also provide attachment points for muscles of head and neck. There are 8 cranial bones in total. There is one frontal bone, two parietal bones, two temporal bones, one occipital bone, one sphenoid bone, and one ethmoid bone. Now let's talk about these cranial bones one by one. So first cranial bone we have is frontal bone. It is located at the front of skull as you can see in the diagram. It forms the forehead, the roof of the eye sockets and parts of nasal cavity. It contains the frontal sinuses, which are air-filled cavities that help reduce the weight of skull and resonate the voice. Second cranial bone we have is parietal bone. It is paired bone. That means there are two parietal bones in every skull. There are two large bones located on the sides and roof of the skull. They join each other at the top of the head through the sagittal suture. Next cranial bone we have is temporal bone. It is also the paired bone. That means there are two temporal bones in every skull. They found on the lower sides of skull near the ear. Each temporal bone contains the external auditory meatus, the mastoid process and styloid process. It houses the structure of inner ear that are essential for hearing and balance. Next cranial bone we have is occipital bone. It is unpaired bone. That means there will be one occipital bone in every skull. It is located at the back and base of skull. It contains the foramen magnum, that is a large opening through which the spinal cord passes. It articulates with the first cervical vertebra that is also called as atlas. Next cranial bone we have is sphenoid bone. It is also unpaired bone. It is a butterfly shaped bone that is situated at the base of skull. It forms part of eye sockets and floor of the cranium. It contains the sala turcica, that is a depression that houses the pituitary gland. Next cranial bone we have is ethmoid bone. It is a light spongy bone that is located between the eyes. It contributes to the medial wall of the eye sockets, the nasal cavity and the nasal septum. It contains the cribriform plate through which olfactory nerve passes. Now let's talk about the facial bones. Facial bones form the structure of the face, protect the opening of digestive and respiratory system and provide attachment for facial muscles. There are 14 facial bones in total that include two nasal bones, two maxilla, two zygomatic bones, two palatine bones, two lacrimal bones, two inferior nasal conchae, one vomer, and one mandible. Now let's talk about these facial bones one by one. So first facial bone we have is nasal bone. It is paired bone. That means there are two nasal bones in every skull. They are small rectangular bones that form the bridge of the nose. Next we have is maxilla. They are also paired bone as you can see in the diagram. They form the upper jaw bone. They also form part of orbits, nasal cavity and hard palate. They contain the maxillary sinuses that are the largest paranasal sinuses. Next facial bone we have is zygomatic bone, that is also paired bone and it is commonly known as cheekbones. They form parts of orbits and give shape to the face. Next facial bone we have is palatine bone that forms the posterior part of hard palate and part of nasal cavity. Next facial bone we have is lacrimal bone, that is also the paired bone. They are the small bones that are located at the inner corner of each eye. They contain the lacrimal fossa which houses the tear ducts. Next facial bone we have is inferior nasal conchae, that are also the paired bone. They are curved bones located inside the nasal cavity. They help in filtering, warming and humidifying the air we breathe. Next facial bone we have is a vomer, that is a thin flat bone that forms the lower part of nasal septum. Next we have is a mandible, that is a lower jawbone and the only movable bone of the skull. It contains the sockets for lower teeth and forms the chin. Functions of skull bone include: first function is protection, as the cranium protects the brain, while facial bone protects sensory organs such as eyes, nose, and tongue. Second function of skull bone is support, as it provides the framework for the head and face. Third function of skull bones is movement, as the mandible allows chewing and speaking. Fourth function is respiration and digestion, as the bones form opening of air, that is nasal cavity, and for the food, that is oral cavity. Next function is communication, as skull bone houses structure that are essential for speech, facial expression, and sound resonance. Conclusion of this lecture video. Skull is a complex structure made up of 22 bones, which include 8 cranial bones and 14 facial bones. Each bone has a specific role in protecting the brain, supporting sensory organs, and shaping the human face. Together, these bones form a strong yet lightweight framework that is essential for life, communication, and identity. And this was all about skull bones. Hopefully, you liked the video. If you do, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment. Thank you for watching.